am who and the light. God's part I cycle, not those particulars of night. I gave up that ghost, Eloi, Lama Sabbath and else. I'll follow them out of the dark. My Father shined on me. I am the way in all of His might. All eyes on me within your sight. I am the light. You are the light. I am the light. Jesus said I'm the way, and the way God's part is like those particulars of night. I gave him that ghost of light. Illuminates up above me. Those eyes of blood, my Father shine on me. I am the way, and all of His might. All eyes on me, within your sight. I am the light. You are the light. I am the light. Jesus said I am the and the light. God's part I cycle, not those particulars of night. I gave up that ghost, Eloi, Eloi, Lama Sabbath and else. I'll follow them out of the dark. My Father shined on me. I am the way in all of His might. All eyes on me within your sight. I am the light. God's part I cycle, not those particulars of night. I gave up that ghost of light. Illuminates up above me. Those eyes of blood, my Father shine on me. I am the way in all of His might. All eyes on me within your sight. You are the light, all the light. I am the light. Jesus said I am
Greater light.
part of cycle, not ghost particular.
Greater light.
I gave up
What's
that
looking
ghost,
like out there?
Eloi, Eloi,
Look like
Lama
Jesus
Sabbath.
coming back.
The
Ah,
light from the
ah,
dark, my Father shined on me.
ah.
I am
Woo!
the way
I am
in
the
all
way.
of His might. All eyes on me
All eyes on
within your
me.
sight. I am the
I
light.
am.
Jesus said I'm the way, and the way God's part is cycle, not those particulars of night. I gave up that ghost of light. Illuminates up above me. Those eyes of blood, my Father shine on me. I am the way, and all eyes on me.
Hey, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. What is looking like out there? It's looking like Jesus coming back. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what it's looking like to me. I don't know what it's looking like to y'all. Oh man, oh man. First, let me get it started. My mind is God's mind. I'm always reflecting divine wisdom and divine intelligence. My brain symbolizes the capacity to think wisely and spiritually because God's ideas unfold within my mind, nothing man made. God's ideas will unfold within my mind in perfect sequence because Jesus left a blueprint to give me the capability to do that. Unfold in perfect sequence. I'm always poised, balanced, serene, and calm, even when I don't want to be. I don't care if I'm crying or if I'm feeling sad and all that, but I'm poised, balanced, serene, and calm. I'm not about to jump off no bridge. It ain't even in our DNA. My genes, our genetics, to commit suicide and murder and stuff like that. It ain't in my genes. I don't know about y'all. It ain't in my genes. So I'm definitely not gonna take even if I get to the point that I feel like that, God has a perfect solution in my DNA to pull me right out of it. Every single time. God never fails, huh? I may fail in this flesh, but he always has the perfect solution within my DNA to pull me out of it. Perfect solution for all my needs. You say amen. I say God is going to keep his promise. God, you promised. I don't know about anybody accepting the promises that God made to them, but God made a promise to me, and he going to keep that promise. He going to keep that promise. He's going to keep all his promises to me. I don't know about you, but he going to... You say, Lord, whatever it is that you say that man made up for you. I want to say, God, you promised. God, you promised. Man made that up, but that's what I choose to say. God, you promised. Now, I got a couple of things I want to go over. I'm not going to stay here long. But I had to come, talk about some things going on, some things that I see that just got me all excited. And once again, it's gonna be a new earth. Time won't be no more. Oh, time won't be no more. I'm excited. So it's two scriptures that I'm gonna come with. Two scriptures. Hebrews 8, which it wasn't my intentions to do Hebrews 8. I was going into Revelations 8, and the whole time I'm reading, I know I wasn't reading Revelations 8, but I just got focused on Hebrews 8, and I think it goes hand in hand. I've stayed and been drawn to Hebrews. I've been drawn to Hebrews these past few days. Drawn to Hebrews. So, stay out of my dreams. Stay out of my dreams. Get off of my realm. Those who like to travel and interfere on other people's realms. You stay out. You stay out. They know who I'm talking to. I want to give hints so bad. But that one, he know who I'm talking to. You stay out of my realm. Don't play them mind games with me. I'm not the one. Don't play them mind games with me. It was nice, but no. No. You know, I ain't even your type, and you ain't even mine. Don't. You could have came with something else. Stay off my realm. Unless you talk about Jesus. Anyways, here we go. So I want to give it. They know who I'm talking to. So you look at my title. Take a look. It's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can be anything. Read and write. Bookworms would phone home. E.T. phone home. Can you bend that part of your finger? E.T. phone home. They messing with the phone systems big time. Especially yesterday after I said, y'all don't even know, for those who call themselves don't want to believe in God and don't want to believe in Jesus and don't want to believe there's a kingdom coming. They don't want to believe in the kingdom come because they're afraid to know that there's alien beings, because Christ It's an alien. Christ said he's not, I'm not from this planet. I'm not from this earth. And I came with a blood code that lets you know that we're descendants, huh, of heaven. I had to come back through that same blood code. Hmm. So I'm going to talk about the phone home, ET phone home. The phone systems is about to be off the chain, and the government making sure of that. They're going to do their best practicing with artificial intelligence right now in the penal system. Hmm. So when you think you talking to your relatives that's locked up, it might be going on right now. Remember when all those prisoners died supposedly during the COVID? supposedly supposedly now, and they had stacks upon stacks of beings in white bags outside of those prisons. Y'all remember that? And some of you still getting phone calls from prison thinking you talking to your relative. Take that to the Underground Railroad. Remember a few years ago, those who are with me, been with me for a minute, and I said, I was talking about Dr. Malachi Z. York, and I was saying, yeah, we don't even know if that's who we talking to, or they say they've been getting phone calls because the Electric Brotherhood Union and the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense have been doing some work with the phone system. Now, people still let it go right over their head. Just at the beginning of this year, you had elderly and people complaining that the artificial intelligence bots been calling their homes, and they actually thought they were talking to their relatives. So just say a third of the world disappears. A third of, just say this side of the earth disappears. How do you know you talking to your relative if artificial intelligence can mimic to the point? This ain't something grandma just making. This ain't no science fiction. This in your federal registered documents .gov. Huh? And so there's an important document that means something to some people. It may, if they want to take it seriously, and it definitely gonna mean something with this big case, one of the biggest cases that's gonna take effect soon. Huh? That's that Sean Puffy Combs, Puff the Magic Dragon, Puff case. Because his case is gonna involve so many political figures. Ain't nobody studying the hip hop scene. Not me. See, this is about the governmental system and where they falter. Huh? The governmental system and where they falter. And it's going to be so many government officials. Those are the ones who are terrified. Y'all don't know it. But here's where the big surprise is going to come in, and I'm putting it out there, so when it happens, y'all can't come back and say such and such. I want to be the first to put it out there. By the time they finish making phone calls and people answering, they don't want to answer the phone calls because they'll say, well, dog, it's Puff Daddy calling from such and such facility. But he don't have to make collect calls. He has the funds and the abilities to use Wi-Fi in there if he need to. Uh, I'm just saying now, based on Rick Ross's accounts, when Rick Ross talking about, everybody talks about, just because the name Wale been going through the neighborhood. Who are the people in your neighborhood? Wale been in the neighborhood out of nowhere recently, right? I was still all in my mind. That voice sounds so much like Professor Smalls. But anyways, so this Wale, y'all forgot that Rick Ross told on everybody. Every other song that Rick Ross did, Rick Ross tells on everybody, including political figures. Rick Ross never lost his position working with the federal government. Huh? That was the biggest undercover right there. Huh? And Rick Ross told on everybody. So when you see, what's his name, Meek Mill's in the mix, every time they talk about Meek Mills and Wale be in the same sentence. No, I'm not talking about the Meek and Lowly and the Wale that's been throughout the community, elder. I'm so excited of these end days things. So my point is, didn't Rick Ross say he used to make phone calls to one of the big political figures that be in some of the government's, uh the Federal Register sanctions and respects of in the federal government, and he said he put Wi-Fi in his cell, huh? And all he do is get off on him counting money for him. I just saying. My point is, by the time people try to avoid Sean Combs calling, and he gonna feel like everybody done turned their back on him, but they not gonna realize that the whole time it was artificial intelligence making the phone calls. Huh? Jennifer Lopez, don't block your phone. Don't put where you can't receive calls from the penal facilities. uh, oh yes, all the NBA players. They used to be at them parties, and you could tell the ones. Huh? You could tell. You could tell. You could tell which ones. Mm. See, I consider the football players and the NBA players political figures. I do. I do. I do. Huh? I do. That's enough. Grandma, why you want to be talking about this stuff? Because I'm talking about the phones. I'm not really talking about the cases more than I'm talking about the phones. And for Jay-Z, it's what goes around comes around. Let Beyonce sing it for you. It comes. Let Beyonce sing it for you. You wanted to be attached to the nose based on your research and development, huh? And used the DNA code to get where you going, but you wasn't right while you was doing it. And it's coming back with a vengeance. Gonna tear you up. Gonna tear you up. You should have stayed away from the Knowles bloodline. Huh? You should have stayed away, dirtying up the Knowles line. Mm, mm. Okay, now let me go on Wormwood. I'm going to talk about that. The bookworm's wood. Here's another instance of something that the government is telling people and they're taking lightly. But then I also believe the government is putting it out there and they're not being totally transparent. So they keep mentioning this second moon that we're going to have, where an asteroid is going to be orbiting the Earth for 2 months. I don't believe that's an asteroid, but if that's what they're going to say, I truly, in my heart, believe that is one of the systems or angelical beings putting Earth on alert that the kingdom, that's like one of the final signals. But it could be 2 or 3 different perspectives of that entity that's going to be out there. But if it was a second moon, do you know the effects of another orbiting system or another orbiting entity? What kind of devastation that would have connected with the moon on the Earth? That's why I totally like disregarded that scenario. That it's an asteroid to be going that fast to orbit the Earth for 2 months. If it is the case and it is a second entity, no matter the size of the entity, the size has to be significant enough to have some type of effect to be able to be trapped in the atmosphere to orbit for what they have timed as 2 months. Okay, all of the systems or planets that supposedly have more than one moon orbiting it has very drastic atmosphere. So what would be the adverse effects of this entity that will be orbiting the Earth if it is just that and they're calling it a second moon? It has to be a particular size for them to call it another moon versus a small satellite. So, based on my theory, where it says in Revelations that wormwood would hit the waters or affect the waters, each atmosphere is a sphere of water, or each firmament is a sphere of water. It's just either dense, denser, lighter, or whatever. Okay. So the third layer or the third firmament is the mesosphere. So what type of, I asked artificial intelligence based on what I'm theorizing or hypothesizing. My hypothesis is that if the mesosphere is distorted because of this so-called moon, what effects would it have on Earth? And she explained the effects that it would have, but the effects would also affect the sea. It would affect the sea. Now, affect the sea to what extent will it affect the sea where it's pulling up just enough power, because it's only like 1% of the pressure of the mesosphere's pressure is, if it's a distorted, is only enough to affect 1% of the pressure in the sea. So would that 1% just be enough to pull up all the seaweeds? You know what I'm saying? What type of effect, we won't know, because this would be the first time supposedly in history that there is another moon or another star orbiting the earth. And it falls right in line with Revelations 8. It falls right in line. Now, again, when Revelations was being translated and retranslated and revised, and all the different transcribers who try to um, discern what the language to break it down, again, I've come up with the theory that doesn't mean that that star would actually hit the earth or hit the waters more than the effect that is going to happen right now, where that entity is going to be trapped in the mesosphere, which is the third firmament, and it's going to distort it somehow, because that mesosphere is the same um, part of the firmament, or within the Earth's atmosphere, that actually breaks down um, asteroids and meteorites. That is the part of the sphere where they burn up. Now, the thing about that part of the atmosphere or the firmament is that it is very cold. It's a cold place. So that's why I'm going to read Revelations 8. And that's why I have worms wood in the description. Now, let me let you know why I have read and write in the description. I have read and write in the description, same, wait, integrated with the concept about the phones, what they're doing with the phones, because there's a law under the epic replies in regards to the phone system, continuation of national emergency in respect to, hold up, incarcerated incarcerated people's communication services, implementation of the Martha Wright Reed Act. So, you know me, I had to figure out, well, who in the world is Martha Reed or Martha Wright, or the Read and Write Act? And come to find out, Martha Reed had something to do. She was probably Harriet Tubman's girlfriend, a lover, but she had something going on with Harriet Tubman. And then one of the senators of Oklahoma did something, and it's supposedly in regards to people being able to have communication with their loved ones, their criminal loved ones who committed, doesn't matter what kind of crime they committed, they should have the right to communicate without being taxed so by the government. But as I read the script, it goes into something way deeper than what's at face value, that Martha Wright Reed act. All right, let me read Revelations. Let me read from Revelations. Revelations 8. Again, I said I wasn't going to be on here long. I'm doing good because I want to go get some more time in. Revelations 8. Look, but let me read Hebrews 8 first. Like I said, I've been drawn to Hebrews. What we are saying is this: Christ, whose priesthood we have just described, is our high priest and is in heaven at the place of the greatest honor next to God himself. That's where he's at before he comes. A description of where he is right now. Oh, back to the asteroid. What I believe that is, again, is an angelic sign to have people, those who are native to the kingdom of heaven, to be on guard, and that there's signals that's going to be coming from the closer it gets. Because with me, I'm getting um like a pull from my back. I'm getting a pull. It's definitely all on the right side, but I'm getting a pull. Feel like a magnet, like somebody standing with a magnet behind me, and I'm getting a pull. And in certain lighting, I could see everything as pixelated. It's small right now. It's small pixelations, but that's what's going on with my vision. And I'm not gonna go to nobody to go for them to check and talk about, let's check your eyes, and this is what's going on. Enough of that experimenting on me, huh? Jesus, Jesus is my doctor. And all right. He ministers in the temple in heaven, at the true place of worship built by the Lord and not by human hands. I'm so glad how that song go, spiritual harmony. I got a building not made by man, made by man. I found a leak in my building, and my soul has got to move. Oh, whatever with my voice lately. Who knows? Who cares? I ain't trying to be no singer. Not in these days. Not now. It don't matter now. When it's time for me to sing, you'll be meeting me in the air. You'll be hearing me up there. I ain't got to worry about trying to have no voice no more down here. But it says the true place of worship built by the Lord and not made by human hands. And since every high priest is appointed to offer gifts and sacrifices, Christ must make an offering too. The sacrifice he offers is far better than those offered by earthly high priests. Way better. What Jesus got is way better. It's some people getting upset with me because I've been really in my heart and mind. I mean, if somebody could have made it to my house last night, they probably would have, and probably would have strangled. Y'all probably would have seen me on the news. Because I was like, no, I appreciate everything, but I thank you. But I just want Jesus. And they call me cold-hearted. I was like, don't you want to see me live holy and righteous? You knew that I was about that when you met me. Why you, huh? He called me cold. I'm not as cold as the mesosphere out there that it's gonna, where that extra moon is gonna be caught in between the firmament and messing with the weather, huh? And the sea and the waters and all that. Anyways, but even so, if he were here on earth, he wouldn't even be permitted to be a priest, because down here the priests still follow the old Jewish systems of sacrifices. That's why they steady blowing up, blowing up people's phones, killing people, killing children. I'm talking about the ones who wear fit like juju. The stuff that they doing shouldn't even be happening if they were who they said they were. Those are the same Jewish standards, rituals, and stuff that they're doing right now. Is the same rituals that put Jesus on the cross in the first place. That keeps every brown, white, light skin, yellow, red, blue, black, and all the different color beings who are native to the kingdom of heaven, keep you crossed up. It says, if Jesus was here right now, this is an up-to-date Hebrews information. If Jesus was here right now, they wouldn't even let Jesus be a high priest. Because Jesus would be telling them all these Jewish laws, all y'all Jewish scripts, y'all kabbas and all that effort, it still staying the same way it stood when I first came. It don't mean a hill of beans. I'm saying, he would be right here saying all that right now. He'll say, I didn't come to destroy the laws of the prophets. He'll be saying, but you got to be holy. You got to be born again. You can't be LGBTQ, T and L and F and G. You can't be that. Thank you, God, for change. You can't be a Sodom and Gomorrah a lover. You can't be. You definitely can't kill no children. Because if you kill children, it would be better that somebody would tie something around your neck and drown you to the bottom of the ocean. Jesus said that. That wasn't no Peter, Paul, Matthew, none of that. I'm just saying. So see, Jesus, they wouldn't let him be priest. They probably wouldn't let him be president. None of that if he was here right now. You hear people talking about Jesus in the desert. Jesus came back. Jesus is here. Jesus is there. No, it ain't. That's a lie. They would have been killed him. That's the purpose of killing anybody that could have been potentially Christ. They wanted to get them young. Their work is connected with mere earthly models. They follow a particular model, not a blueprint. They follow models. T Ford models, Tesla models. They follow models. Iman models. They follow models. The jujus, the ones that wear fit like jujus, the ones that's over there making sure that a war explodes the way they want it to. Earthly models of the real tabernacle of heaven. When Moses was getting ready to build the tabernacle, God wanted him to follow exactly the pattern of the heavenly tabernacle as shown to him on Mount Sinai. But Christ, as a minister of heaven, has been rewarded with far more important work than those who serve under the old laws. Because the new agreement which he passes on to us from God contains far more wonderful promises. Standing on the promises of God. Who is that here with me? All right, Latrell Tinwell, greater light, greater light. The old agreement didn't even work. So, what do you mean the old agreement didn't even work? It didn't work. Because if it worked, Jesus would have never had to go on the cross. There wouldn't have to be reset after reset. And God wouldn't have to make no promises to come and just cleanse it on out. So the old agreement didn't even work. Nobody wanted to follow the old agreement. If it had, there would have been no need for another to replace it. But God himself found fault with the old one, for he said, the day will come when I will make a new agreement with the people of Israel and the people of Judah. The new agreement will not be like the old one I gave to their fathers on the day when I took them by the hand and led them out of the land of Egypt. They did not keep their part of the agreement. So I had to cancel it. God did some cancellations. Whew. You know, when the people say, well, we're going to cancel all your debt. I ain't seen it yet. Every time they say we go cancel out the school loans and you can apply and get your, every single time I apply, they say, oh, no, not you. Not you, but that's all right. I'm not worried about it. You know why? Because Jesus paid it all. Every time I sign something now, I'm signing Jesus paid it all. So it says, but this is the new agreement I will make with the people of Israel, says the Lord. I will write my laws in their minds. See, my mind is God's mind. My mind is God's mind. I will write my laws in their minds so that they will know what I want them to do without me even telling them. When your mind becomes God's mind, you don't even have to have nobody instructing you and telling you and teaching you nothing, because it will come naturally through God. Not saying that all the information out there is null and void, but it becomes more natural. It unfolds in a perfect sequence that is suiting to you and how you stand as a witness or a light bearer to those that are around you. So he says, I will write my laws in their minds so they will know what I want them to do without me even telling them. And I will be their God and they will be my people. You too should know the Lord, because everyone, great and small, will know me already. And I will be merciful to them in their wrongdoings, and I will remember their sins no more. God speaks God speaks of these new promises, of this new agreement, as taking the place of the old one. For the old one is out of date now and has been put aside forever. You have people that like to say, you can't say that the holy tablets or the information such and such is old or outdated. How come? Way back in a note to the Hebrews, are you a Hebrew? Are you a Juju? Huh? You a Juju? A Yuda or a Judah? Either one. There's some old, outdated information that was put aside forever. God came with a new agreement. And which agreement you under? You under the old earth agreement or you under the new earth agreement? Now let me go to Revelations 8. Let me go to Revelations 8. Revelations 8 says, When the Lamb had broken the seventh seal, there was silence throughout all of heaven for what seemed to be like a half an hour. So there's a particular type of silence that's going to happen for about half an hour. So let's bet our clocks on it. Huh? Let's bet our clocks on it. And I saw seven angels stand before God, and they were given seven trumpets. Then another angel with a golden censer. I told y'all they supposed to be releasing those censers on the 29th. That is in Federal Register. That date hasn't even come up yet. September 29th, they have censers towards Pennsylvania, Norfolk, Virginia, and it looks like hundreds of censers in that plan, and then censers to along San Diego over on that area. But I promise you, I think them putting a simulation about those censors actually has to do with that moon out there, and they're going to blame whatever is going to happen to that entity that is out there that Gog and Magog is preparing to war against. So it says, another angel with a golden censer came and stood at the altar, and a great quantity of incense was given to him to mix with the prayer of God's people, to offer up into a golden altar before the throne. And the perfume from the incense mixed with the prayers ascended up to God from the altar where the angel had poured them out. Then the angel filled the censer with fire from the altar and threw it down upon the earth. And thunder crashed and rumbled, lightning flashed, and there was a terrible earthquake. Now, let me give you some information about the earthquake that just happened in Texas, and it was a bunch of little earthquakes. Those weren't natural earthquakes. Right now in Federal Register, there's a, what is it called? I wrote it down, but then I took those papers in the living room, so I don't have it here, but let me tell you exactly what it's called in the Federal Register. And I might go to that if I have the time allotted that I've given myself. It's called, hold up. Oh, goodness. Okay. It's called the Final Environmental Impact Statement for Texas Gulf Link Deep Water Port License. So they're doing more drenching and exploding and digging up because they want to get the oil from right there off of the, where's the area? The area is called Brazario County, Texas. It's called Brazario County, Texas. Okay? King Ellis, Brazario County, Texas. And so the trembling and tremors going on in that area is not natural earthquakes. And I confirmed, well, what type of environmental effect would the port, or and that's more than likely why they're trying to have so much chaos going on in that area, because y'all know the controlling of weather now, the seeding of the clouds is much more easier for them. Seeding of certain areas when they need a storm to manifest in a particular area, the chemicals that they release in the air, which is in Federal Register, they speak of it. They give you the breakdown of every chemical that they will release when they need a particular environmental act to happen. So that's why they can't really predict the weather like they used to before. Before they couldn't really predict the weather, but they were more on point than they are now with is Exaggerated as the technology is, it seems like they're way more off than before. It's because they're the ones playing with the environment. It's not natural. It's more artificial. Everything is more artificial, and all based on research and development. So back to it. The seven angels with the seven trumpets prepared to blow their mighty blast. The first angel blew his trumpet, and hail and fire mixed with blood were thrown down upon the earth. 1/3 of the earth was set on fire, so that 1/3 of the trees were burned and all of the green grass. Now, back to what I was saying about the particular moon or asteroid that is supposed to be orbiting the earth along with the moon. So they're saying, they're using the term again, a second moon. But what type of effect will that have on the mesosphere? And any distortion of the mesosphere would allow, like as the asteroids always pass through or pass and burn up before they even hit. It's always, every day, there's hundreds, you could Google it, hundreds of asteroids and meteorites passing Earth, but it's protected by the spheres. And if one makes it to the mesosphere, then usually because of the temperature or how cold it is, it burns. So any distortion to the mesosphere would allow all of these different meteorites that usually bypass to actually start coming through. And any of the satellites, supposedly, the satellites that are out there will all like literally start to fall or be thrown off. So again, if what they're saying is true, that's the effect, this Revelation 8. But what I truly in my heart believe, that's not a second moon. That is one of our warriors, one of our light beings, one of those entities on standby. So, but that would be the effect. This first part where the angel blow of a moon out there. If you go and study the planets and see how each planet is, their atmosphere is turbulent and destructive and chaotic based on how many moons they have. All right. The second, so again, with these final days, there's things that they would see that was never seen before throughout all of history. And so far, according to all of history of Earth, the millions of years, every document that they have allowed us to be able to see that's on the walls of all the pyramids, hundreds of pyramids that have covered the Earth, that we have had a glimpse into periodical history. The only signs of another star or moon or particular entity as large as the moon was that mention of wormwood. Something that has never happened, but it's been on the walls of something that is supposed to happen. The second angel blew his trumpet, and what happened to be a huge burning mountain was thrown into the sea. Now we're seeing the earthquakes and we're seeing the volcanoes. All of these things naturally occur every so 100 years, every so 50 years, every so 1,000 years or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, whatever the entity out there that is going to be orbiting for this next 60 days, what effect will it have on the volcanoes too? You know, and all the other aspects of Earth or this plane. The second angel blew his trumpet, and what appeared to be a huge mountain was thrown into the sea, destroying a third of all the ships, and a third of the sea turned red as blood, and a third of the fish were killed. And a third angel blew, and a great flaming star fell from heaven upon a third of the rivers and springs. And the star was called bitterness because it poisoned a third of all the water and earth and many people. And like I said, what I believe in my perspective of this verse is that that third is not actually like it fell into the waters, but again, in the mesosphere of waters. So we have the sea level, which is water, right? And then we have the seven firmaments, the seven layers of water, each with a different amount of or releases of codes that changes the temperature, um, the prism in which the reflection and the rays of the sun hit and reflect and deflect and all that. So that third layer, I believe, is where the star is going to be stuck in between the third and the fourth firmament. And whatever pull it's going to have with the moon counteracting with the moon is what's going to affect the sea. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and immediately a third of the sun was blighted and darkened, and a third of the moon and the stars, so that the daylight was dimmed by a third, and nighttime darkness deepened. As I watched, I saw a solitary eagle flying through the heavens, crying loudly, "Woe, woe, woe to the people of earth, because of the terrible things that will soon happen when their remaining angels and then the remaining angels blew their trumpet." So is this solitary eagle flying one individual being, or is it going to be that same, like I said, they're saying things to match the scripture, to match revelations, but in my heart, again, I believe that is one of the entities, that one flying solitary eagle out there. 60 days of preparation, because we are down to the last 5 months of protection. 5 months of protection. Now, let me go into, hold on one moment. I'll be right back. Be right back. Greater Light, King Ellis, and Latrell Tinwell, two times. Here we go. Be right back.
You are the light, all the light. I am the light. I am the light. Jesus said I'm the way, and the light got started cycle. Those particulars tonight. I gave him that golden light. He loved himself, my sunny. Cause after my father shine on me. I am the way, you know that's mine. All eyes on me, lifting the sight. You are the light, all the light.
I had to turn that AC on. All of a sudden, it got hot. All right. Now here is some information. And I don't know if it's because it's because of what I've been saying lately or putting up lately. I don't know if they talking to me. You know how I am. I can make everything and anything about me. So I don't know if they Biden them talking to me because I have been saying some things in regards to the two temples or the twin towers that need to fall. And them twin towers, y'all heard me. Those who was here with me the other night, them twin towers is those, what you call it? Um Cleopatra's needle. Those were the twin towers that were supposed to fall. And I believe because they traveled through time or somehow had the information of the prophecy about those towers, the Cleopatra's needles, the two of them, that's why they separated them and put them how they put them as vortexes between UK and the United States. So this was just a few days ago that I made that statement, right? Now we know that the only twin towers that existing right now are the lights. So why would they be talking about somebody making a threat at the twin towers or a 9/11 threat? 9/11 happened 9/11 2001. So why would they be updating like somebody threatening some twin towers or something? So I'm going to show you that right quick. I don't know who they think they talking to. I don't know. I don't know. Because everything that I say is biblical and scriptural, and it's facts that they could go in a vaults, the Vatican vaults, the Paris vaults, and find it. So don't come back trying to threaten people as recent as today. As recent as tomorrow. This one goes out tomorrow. Let me read what they saying. Who he talking to? Talking about continuation of national emergency respects to persons who commit, threaten to commit, or support terrorism. If it's about terrorism, why does it have to have 9/11 in there? Because the terrorism with 9/11, terrorism been happening since days of Christ. 10,000 years ago, right here on this land. And I confirm that right out of the Creek bilingual translation dictionary. Huh? Terrorism been going on that long, so why they got to be specific about this date? Talking about the president declared a national emergency in 2001, September 23rd, 2001, pursuant to international emergency economics power to deal with unusual and extraordinary threat to national security, foreign policy, the economy of the United States, constituted by the grave acts of terrorism and threats of terrorism committed by foreign terrorists, including terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001 in New York and Pennsylvania and against the Pentagon. They don't want nobody talking about their Jewish star. That's what it is. That Pentagon represents the Jews on this land, the ones that wear fit like Juju. That Pentagon represents the seal of Solomon when Solomon turned his back on God and said, "Nah, I'm good with my 700 wives and they 700 demons and my 300 concubines and they 300 fairies and imps and and whatever else they had. They demons." But anyways, in New York and Pennsylvania and against the Pentagon and the continuing and immediate threat to further attacks against the United States nationals or the United States. On September 9, 2019, the president signed Executive Order 13886 to strengthen and consolidate actions to combat the continuing threat posed by international terrorism and to take additional steps to deal with a national emergency declared on Executive Order 13224 as amended. The actions of persons who commit, threaten to commit, or support terrorism continue to pose an unusual, extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, economy of the United States. For this reason, the national emergency declared in Executive Order 13224 on September 23rd, 2001 is amended, and measures adopted to deal with that emergency must continue in effect beyond September 23rd, 2024. Therefore, in accordance to Section 202D of the National Emergencies Acts, I am continuing for 1 year the national emergency with respect to persons who threaten to commit, or support terrorism declared in Executive Order 13224 as amended. This notice will be published in Federal Register and transmitted to Congress. And it says September 18th, 2024. And then it says file September 19th at 8:45 and to be published tomorrow. Now, let's share this one. This is the one I want to really get to. This one right here. What they got going on in the phone booths. Ring my phone, operator. Ring my phone if you want it to work. So, Mr. Latrell Tinwell, if you still here, how easy was it for you to get contact? Did you have to dial out, collect? Or are you one of those who, when you get in there, you don't try to call nobody or anything? Has the phone systems changed? You know, there's a reason why I'm asking this, because based on the information that I've been seeing and researching, what they plan to do with the penal system and voice recognition, and even in ways to entrap people. They've always had the recordings going on the lines and the phones, when you're incarcerated. But the system, the way they're integrating the system with the artificial intelligence, once a person is incarcerated into the system, how does the people on the other side know whether it is your voice or not? And they've been working on this ever since the initiation of COVID. And I found that out in their epic series, which I'm going to go over. So right here, let's continue with this document. Federal Communications. And I truly believe the two reasons why they've changed and updated this information here is because part of it says the information that they thought they had gathered in 2023, they did not gather all of the information. This is about data collection. And which data would they be talking about? Data like things that have to do with the sciences, the history, all of the information that's in the brain of Dr. Malachi Z. York, just say for instance. And all of the information that they thought they collected, they didn't. And it says that in this document here. That's the first part. But then the second part of it has to do with being able to test on maybe, again, one of the most profound cases that is about to happen, and all the people that would have to hear a voice on the other side of the phone begging and pleading with them, and how much data they can collect to drop cases on people. So here I saw the word anomalies and looked into it, and I went over what I said about part of Rick Ross' song, one of his songs, um, in regards to one of the big time drug dealers and what he said, and that could have been mainly a what you call it, uh, premonition in that song. He said one of his big dogs, the biggest one out there, got arrested and they put Wi-Fi in his cell. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So I went ahead and read through this and saw where this is just face value about the money and people being able to be in touch with their loved ones when they're incarcerated. But then, of course, you know what I do. I start clicking the little small numbers and bypassing the small details to get to the smaller details. Let me read this first section right here, and then I'm going to show you something. So it says digital equity and inclusion. Now, I went over what digital equity is, or equity is an inclusion. That's a term that they use now, hand in hand with the covenant, the non-compete covenant, digital equity and inclusion. So it says the commission is part of a continuing effort to advance digital equity for all, including people of color, persons with disabilities who live in rural or tribal areas, and others who are or have been historically undeserved, marginalized, or adversely affected by persistent poverty or inequality, invites comment on any equity related considerations and benefits, if any, that may be associated with the proposals and issues discussed herein. Section 1 of the Communications Act provides that the Commission regulates interstate and foreign commerce. This about jail now, prison. Oh man, I lost the page. I need to stop using that. Here we go. Commerce for communication by wire, radio, so as to such service available so far as possible to all the people of the United States without discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, or sex. Specifically, we seek comment on how our proposals may promote or inhibit advances in diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, as well as the scope of the Commission's relevant legal authority. The term equity is used here consistent with the Executive Order 13985 as the consistent and systematic, fair, just, and impartial treatments of individuals, including individuals who belong to undeserved communities. They always target this. Undeserved communities that have been denied such treatment, such as Black, Latino, and Indigenous and Native American persons, Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and other persons of color. All these people are considered persons of color. That's what stood out more than anything. And then when you get to the LGBT and Q, that's a religious minority. Black, Latino, Indigenous, Native American persons, Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and other persons of color. Members of religious minorities, and then they specify LGBTQ plus, persons with disabilities, persons who live in rural areas, and persons otherwise adversely affected by persistent poverty or inequality. Persistent meaning that it's not going to stop. They letting you know it's so persistent that they don't plan on making it stop. They're just making acts around it. So this is a face value of the Freedom of Information Act in regards to incarcerated individuals, right? To hit tomorrow, right? Through the Martha Wright Reed Act, right? Rates for interstate inmate calling services. But here, let me show you this. This same document is backed up by this entity right here. The Electronic Privacy Information Act. The EPIC reply comments to FCC on Martha Wright Reed Act implementation. And again, who is Martha Wright? Martha Wright, I truly believe, was the girlfriend of Harriet Tubman. But I didn't go into more details than I needed to try to read this information. Now, here, beyond this paper value right here, what is important about this one is the fine details in regard to how they can take the information of when people are on the phone, what kind of research and development they can use in order to, let's say, trap somebody up, bind them under particular laws. And here is information, if you wanted to go any further, to see exactly that's what it's talking about. Their letter to House Energy, Commerce, Telecommunications, Federal Communications, warrants, how to get warrants through the Freedom of Information Act. It even says here, let me show you something that I saw that was funny. The commission should narrowly define types of security costs and properly recoverable from IPCS rate taxpayers. A leading example of properly recoverable, malicious online threats such as costs are necessary to the provision of IPCS because without such security, systems might fail and thus be unable to connect calls. In contrast, law enforcement surveillance systems are designed to detect and document criminal activity, both real and imagined. What they talking about here? You tell me what they talking about, real and imagined. So as a man thinketh, so is he. We will live in a day because of artificial intelligence and the last days where you will not be judged by the color of your skin, no matter how they talk about inclusion, but you will be judged by the content of your character, what is in your mind. That's why it is so important that we keep a sober mind, and we remain balanced and do all the things to keep you focused, because they are saying even the things you imagine. Now, real on real, there's a lot of people who've been trapped up on just their words because of how some of the arresting development developmental people would twist up their words. It's some people who under heavy medications, huh, hallucinate and imagine, and they saying it that now these days it don't even matter no more. You can't use the word um or use the terms the officers tricked me, the office they doped me up before. That ain't even gonna matter in these last days. They say even in your imagination. That's why I did that video the other day. That's where my mind was. Just your imagination can get you trapped up in the system. How can your imagination get you trapped up in the system? They have put it out there that the artificial intelligence now is so precise that it can read your thoughts. And a lot of people still don't believe that. They don't want to believe in God. They don't want to believe that there is one source and one creator, one architectural superior being that designed this all. But they believe in their phones that they have been saying it's in federal documents and you have the proof. Before it used to be where you could say beans and then you look at your phone and beans advertisements is in your phone. Now, if you think beans and then look in your phone, beans is in your phone. The magic beans. But what? No, you don't believe that? But they are giving out and issuing phones and watches that could read your dream realm. So if it could read your REM and read the frequencies in your mind, then why wouldn't it be able to read your mind? So now they're going into these particular movies where a person have to be careful on how they're thinking too. No, they don't want you to be careful. They want you to think messed up, fouled up, and all, because then it makes it easier for them to be able to pick your brain when they go to offer you what it is that they need to offer you to buy your like code. So then when it's time to separate the wheat from the tares and those who are native to the kingdom of heaven, those who will be accepting the mark of the beast, some of you they're not going to even have to think twice on how to get you to offer you to take and accept the mark of the beast, because they're already all into your imagination. Let me continue. In contrast, law enforcement surveillance systems are designed to detect and document criminal activity, both real and imagined. And calls can be completed whether or not these systems are in place. If correctional agencies believe these systems provide value, then the agencies can pay for such technology for their budgets. To fund such systems through involuntary transfers from ratepayers is neither just nor reasonable. Here's the voice biometrics, word search, and call description. Everybody been happy with taking and playing with artificial intelligence and clicking and making a song based on what's his name? Kendrick Lamar's voice and Eminem's voice. And even taking and allowing your voice to be put into the system and let it play with your voice to make songs and stuff. And it don't need your permission to do it. It's automatically doing it because under the CHIPS Act law, we are patients of the United States. Under the new Medicaid services and transitions, even the most recent up-to-date Medicaid, Medicare, and health equity, we are officially patients of the United States. So here in this one, they explain security and threats and safety measures based on the voice biometrics or the data IQ of the system that is able to mimic your voice. And they call it voice prints. You thought your fingerprint meant something. Now, when they finish experimenting and implanting the technology behind the eye, and again, where do they get a chance and opportunity to do these studies without the pushback or even having to pay individuals? All the things and patents of FDA approval that, what's his name? Elon Musk has that went through, that is in sync with this technology here. He was able to take a wee piggy, uh, all the little pigs, and study them, and now he could go straight to the pineal system. But here, the voice prints. Prisons across the U.S. are quietly building databases of incarcerated people's voice print, and it's called the Intercept. Here's another one. Prisons launch absurd attempt to detect coronavirus in inmates' phone calls. So remember when I was saying earlier, when all those people were incarcerated during the first rash, and they kept showing prisons where bodies were stacked on top of one another? That was their main places and case studies. And here you have official federal documents that state that there were prisons that was doing research and development attempt to detect coronavirus in an inmate's phone call. So again, all of the information that I showed you that they're releasing tomorrow about inmates and what information that they missed. Here's one right here, says they are waiting. Oh, this was in 2022. They've been waiting that long for the Tammy Duckworth, for President Biden to sign this document that's going to be released tomorrow. They've been waiting that long. Martha Wright Reed Act. And again, this information here, and again, every time they come with all these big distractions, I believe they're doing something up there in Colorado that they ain't got no business. And this document right here specifically states that at the beginning, says all the information that they thought they collected, they didn't collect. In the synopsis, here, they don't have enough information in the mandatory data collection that they needed to try to destroy the kingdom of heaven as the kingdom returns. That's what I feel that means. And so now they need to sign this information, sign off, so that they can do these things right here. Epic.org. Electronic Privacy Information Act. Well, that's all for now. I think I covered everything besides showing you who Martha Wright was. I found a couple of Martha Wrights until I found the right one. And one of the Martha Wrights, I believe, is one of their high priests. She's an author, But if you go through her bio, the last book that she wrote was called Out Jumps the Devil, which was in 2023. And each of her books seemed like it matches up with what's going on in the so-called realistic realm. And she does this imaginary realm in her writing to adjust what frequency they need to change. She works with metaphysics. She also seemed like or moved like it, based on what I saw, that she works with voodoo and stuff. But then there's another Martha Reed, who she is entangled with. She's dead now, but she was entangled with the Navajo Indians. And she had a lot to do with research and development and things like that. And then there's the Martha Wright, who's a part of the founders and foundations of the United States government, who worked hand in hand with Harriet Tubman. And as a matter of fact, it states that she was a vice president in Philadelphia in 1895 or something like that. That got to be false history, but it's on the government sites. And according to the way they talk, they say Vice President Kamala Harris is the first female vice president, when according to this Martha Wright, in the historic realm of the government, she was a vice president in 1895 or something like that in Philadelphia. So who knows, with all their, again, topsy-turvy, messing up a jot here and a title here and turning and flipping words and messing them up. But the scripture that I read to you today states that God made a covenant, and he made a promise, and he made an agreement that he would communicate with you directly in perfect sequence. He would direct, so that you don't have to hear or what you need to be right and exact from somebody else in the last days. That's in Hebrews. That's in Hebrews 8. Don't believe me? Go check it out. Greater light. Let me go ahead and see if I could put some more time in before it gets too late. Greater light. I appreciate those who are over here with me. King Ellis, get some sub up. Tell them to sub to grandma, to like, subscribe. What I got going on is free, but I want it to be free to all the world in this generation. Free to all the world in this generation. And the only way to get it to be free to all the world in this generation, subscribe, pass it forward, like, subscribe. Greater light, greater light. Let's see which one I want, what song I want to close out with. Hey, maybe catch me later, Catch me later. I may come through later on Shadow Hours, okay? Shadow Hours Live.
Shadow Hours Life. Shadow Hours Life.
Might be midnight, might be 11, might be 2 in the morning, who knows?
In the shadow hours of forever. Shadow Hours Life. With growth, my arm, connect that far. Life. Ooh. Life. Ah. Life. Ooh. Ah. Life. Shadow life. I've come from apart. Shadow Hour life. With growing in the palm. Shadow Hour life. In the shadow hours of forever.